Have you met her?
Hello and welcome to another episode of Have You Mette? And today I'm joined by the fabulous singer-songwriter Billy Lockett, and we're going to be discussing the myth, neurodivergence is a superpower. Hi Billy, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your story? Where did it all start?
So my name is Billy Lockett. I'm a singer. I was born in Northampton, and I've been trying to sort of become a superstar for the last 15 years. I've been doing this professionally for about 12 or 13, and I'm very lucky as well that this is my main job, which is good because I could not hold down a job ever.
No.
So thank God this has worked. And now I'm just gearing up to release my second album.
That's super exciting.
Yeah. And I also do on the side, I work with adults with learning difficulties, all sorts of things from autism, Down syndrome, ADHD, everything really. But I mean, after about half a year of hanging out with them, I've completely forgot that is even a thing, really. I mean, Sometimes things will happen and you're like, oh yeah, no, everyone is very neurodivergent, but a lot of the time they are genuinely my mates. So
and that's good, and it's important that we treat people the same, right?
Yeah.
Like as much as
totally. I wouldn't even think a lot of the time. Some of my best friends are in that community, and I see them literally sometimes 2-3 days a week. But it's awesome because we have so many activities. Really, we do snooker on Tuesdays and bowls on Thursdays. We do a pub quiz on a Monday night at Mail Coach. That's fun. We're always last, but it's great.
It's the participation that counts.
It's great. Yeah, and we are basically a friendship group. That's it. But everyone's got their quirky things, including me. To be fair, sometimes I'm not sure. Maybe I am actually more of a part of the community than I realise.
Does it matter?
Yeah, no, exactly. It doesn't matter. We have a good time. We get on.
And what's it called? Is it a charity?
It's technically not a charity. It's charitable,
right?
But it's a business essentially. But it's a community called JH in Orarpel. Yeah, it's just a hang, really.
And there's a guy called Ray that works there.
Ray's the main guy. Yeah.
I met him. I went to Barclays Neuro Inclusion event in Northampton, and I met him. I was on a table with him.
No way. Yeah. Ray's great, man. He's really the main guy. I met them because I did a charity gig. Well, sort of, there were loads of charities and they were one of the companies there. And it was at the Picture Jam, and I ended up meeting them all afterwards. And it was a random thing. I don't normally do those kind of shows. And I was going through a little patch at the time where I was like, oh, I'm not doing something like that unless it's paid. You know what I mean? I know that sounds awful, but it was exactly what I needed to happen. Yeah. Because it was a couple of years ago when we were having some big success, and I think I was losing myself a bit, and
brought you back down to earth,
massively grounded me. And they've genuinely been one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. I really look forward to seeing them, and if I don't, it's I do feel sad. My week feels less full.
Like you feel lonely?
Yeah, I feel lonely and just don't really feel like I have a purpose. I mean, before them, because I work in my house in the cellar, so sometimes I just won't see anybody for like a week or two. If I'm in the middle of a song that I'm kind of obsessing over, then I just won't go out the house. And this is a way of me kind of going, oh yeah, I've got this thing and I have to go and I have to talk to people, and because they're all sorts of different neurodivergence, it means I have to be on my A game socially. So I really have to bring it. And sometimes,
so do you feel like you have to mask a lot?
It's not so much masking. It's just, I guess they do bring a really nice side of me out. Where
maybe you feel comfortable with them.
Yeah, I do. Whereas a lot of people probably wouldn't. I think some of my mates that have met some of the guys have felt slightly nervous because they're worried they won't get on with them because of these different neurodivergent situations. They affect your social skills a lot of the time. But what I've learned with these guys is that if they feel safe or comfortable with you, they come out of their shell way more than most people who haven't got neurodivergent issues. They say some of the most amazing things, and they're very quick. And they've all got their own thing about them. They're almost like cartoon characters in my world, and they're just brilliant. I love all of them in totally different ways. Yeah,
that's amazing that you have a community going on there though, and you have people that you can be with and hang around with and stuff too.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of loneliness at the moment, I think, with a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's why every Monday at the Garibaldi there's the Loneliness Project. Yeah, it was run, set up by a guy that I went to sixth form with, Jacob, and there's now like 30 people or so in it, and they go every Monday and they get together, and they're such a welcoming like group of people. There's no like where you feel uncomfortable or that you won't be accepted. They're just,
and it's basically a hang.
Yeah, it's just like people have gone, you know what? Yeah, I was lonely and I wanted to be around people, and there are people out there, but everybody was also lonely themselves. So my business is CIC, Community Interest Company.
Okay, right.
Allowing adults to be able to access the support, so we will financially fund them to access the support.
I got diagnosed when I was like 8 or 9 with ADHD and Tourette's. Actually, I went in for Tourette's and ended up getting ADHD as a byproduct, but it was sort of seen as like, oh, by the way, he's got this, but it wasn't really causing me problems. The Tourette's was the thing that was the real problem. And the question is, my Tourette's is pretty much definitely not gone, but calmed down, and I can control it now. With ADHD, can that have the same thing? Can that go? Like, if I was to be assessed again now that I'm 34, could I potentially not have it now, even though I had it when I was 8?
No, it's a neurological difference in your brain.
Right.
Although I'm not a clinical specialist, so I couldn't sit here and tell you like yes or no for anything. I could never diagnose anybody, but it doesn't disappear.
I think that it could go the same way the Tourette's has, where it calms down.
Yeah, it can be managed.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You're managing it and supporting it in a way that works for you. And it depends what like severity level you have of it as well, because remember, it's all a spectrum, and people can be at so many different levels of the spectrum that every single person is impacted differently, and so presents differently as well. And
you're saying that that spectrum, you can end up bouncing around it throughout your life. Like, sometimes do you reckon you could be higher up on the spectrum?
No.
Oh, interesting.
No, you'll be in like one space, but dependent on where you are. Like, so for example, you might see somebody that is autistic that might have really high needs on the spectrum and be not quite socially aware. Or, you know, when you see autistic children with sensory overload, they have the headphones.
Yeah, the headphones.
So they're obviously in a different space on that spectrum, whereas someone like me isn't that on that level on that spectrum, but I am on the spectrum to the point where day to day and socially it can be really challenging for me. I've got ADHD and autism myself, and I was like, people can't keep being like this. They can't keep getting hold of no support just because they're home asking or they don't look like they need help. The Safia, who owns the space, she's a neurodevelopmental clinical nurse. She does ADHD and autism assessment, whereas I come from all lived experience and HR expertise as well. And so we kind of like come together and deliver a lot of the services, apart from the assessments. Obviously, I can't do them. But we have like a adult navigation pathway. So she does like clinical one-on-ones, and then I do like workshops and stuff like that with them as well.
And you almost don't know why before you're diagnosed, because it's not so obvious. I think that maybe when I was a kid, I felt like I was higher up on the spectrum, because I think I don't know about my ADHD, because I didn't really know I had it, because it was covered up by the Tourette's. But I definitely think that I'm at a different place on the spectrum now when it comes to Tourette's than I was when I was a kid. Or maybe that's a different thing. Maybe I'm just better at managing where I am on the same place.
Yeah, like I know you can take medication for Tourette's as well, right? Like, do you take medication?
Not really, actually. There's not really a specific medication for Tourette's. There is...
Because my brother has Tourette's.
Yeah, he does.
My brother that
he does. And he was setting me off the other day when I was chatting to him.
You're like, oh God, I'm going to start.
Yeah, I know. It was really hard to get. I had to stop talking to him. I
get it.
The medication is horrible, though, and it makes you feel really
sleepy.
The wristband works.
Oh, I didn't know there was a wristband.
Yeah, it's a new technology. They've just started rolling it out. Have you seen the movie? I swear.
No.
Oh my god, it's incredible.
Is
How have
it
you not
good?
seen this? It's just oh my god. It's to be fair, it's only just come on to like TV, but it's been on the cinema for about 2 or 3 weeks. All about this guy called Johnny Davidson, who is basically the pioneer of Tourette's. He's like the guy that's won an MBE for it. He's an incredible guy. And he works a lot with this charity I'm an ambassador for called Tourette's Action, which I do loads with. And they've made a movie about Johnny Davidson in it. And at the very end of the movie, so he's got it bad. Do you know what I mean? Like way
like
worse.
the words as well, not just the
Yeah,
tics.
exactly. I never had swear words.
No.
So I never offended anyone.
Yeah.
And mine was just like, I'm just embarrassed.
Yeah, you might look at somebody a bit funny.
Yeah, or like make a weird noise or squeak or something, which I've still got actually. I've still got that one.
I've had tics before in extreme stress and anxiety. I get tics. I was like in secondary school like this.
Yeah. Oh, it's the worst. Everyone's like, why are you doing that? And you're like, I don't know.
I don't know, it just happens.
But at the end of the movie, he wears this wristband that they've just come up with. And he walks through a library, and it's just peace and quiet. It's the first time in the whole movie that everything's just calm, and he's walking through the library and he just starts crying, and it's so moving and it's so emotional, and I highly recommend everyone watches that movie. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's good to be passionate about things.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I'm an extremely passionate person myself.
Yeah.
Like I want to fight for change for things, which is why I do what I do.
Yeah, totally.
Because I was like, I don't want it to keep being the same. So I get it connecting with things.
Yeah, I think this is kind of what this community is sort of about as well. Really, it is just it's a friendship group, a place for us to all hang out and have fun. And these guys are so like happy. They are so playful. We just mess about for like 4 or 5 hours, and you know, it feels so it humbles me. And the world that I've come from is driven by egos massively. And you know, how many followers do you have, and what have you done, where are you in the charts, all this crap. Whereas, you know, Dylan just wants to play me at snooker, and that's the only thing that matters is winning at snooker and asking me how my songs are doing, which he asks me every 20 minutes.
And that's nice, right? Yeah.
And they haven't got a bad bone in their body. They're all just legends. And I don't know why is that they are so kind and so loving. Is that just how I guess they've been raised, or is that just something in people with autism that they do have this sense of?
Well, remember that autism is a big spectrum,
it is,
right?
Yeah.
Different levels of autism and different levels of understanding and different levels of what's going on and what affects people and their upbringing and everything that has an impact on how they present uniquely as them. So,
and I guess as well, in a way, I only really see them for 5 hours in a day when they're in their happy place. And so, yeah, you do kind of assume that that's what they're like all the time. I mean, some of the guys, like one of my probably my closest friends in the community is a guy called Ricky. And I don't actually know specifically what he has. I don't think he pays attention to what he has either, to be honest. But it's quite an unusual situation. I think his spine grows horizontally, I think. So his whole body is very interesting. But mentally fully there, fully with it. My age, very much. But I don't think the fact that he has anything, it's in his mind because everyone tells him, but really he's Ricky and he doesn't care about it. It's not even a blip on his radar, really. But you do sometimes think, God, but that must be challenging. That must actually be quite a big deal.
Yeah.
But because he's so whatever, you forget sometimes.
But maybe sometimes that is what people want. If everybody is focusing on the challenges they have, then how can they thrive if somebody's always pointing out the challenges all the time? Better to, we say here, to approach people with curiosity and kindness. Because if we're curious, then, we can ask questions and we can consider how, we might react in situations and stuff, but it's better to come from the person, how they feel, rather than us making assumptions and stuff about people, I suppose.
I think if I ever asked Ricky about how he felt about it, he'd be like,
He's
it's
like,
weird
it's just
because,
me.
yeah, and we did like an ice bucket challenge, and then he was like, oh, I can't do it, and I was like, why? And he was like, not allowed. And I was like, why? And he was like, don't know, just And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah, you just kind of like, oh well. And then you said, oh yeah, of course you can't get cold, like, because we don't even know why, but you probably just can't. Do you know what I mean? And it's so interesting how blasé he is about it. And it's lovely. It's nice because I don't even notice a lot of these guys' issues anymore because I just hang out with them so much, and it's just a part of who they are as people.
Do you think being neurodivergent yourself maybe helps you?
Yeah, I definitely think that they can sense it in me, and it can't hurt. But I guess in a way, my life has pushed me into so many intense social situations that I've kind of been thrown in the deep end of trying to mask it.
Right.
And it's the thing is it masking, or is it learning how to deal with it, or are they the same thing? You know what I mean?
I think so with masking, like every single person in life masks, whether you're neurodivergent or not, because we don't act and behave the same with every single person we come across, do we?
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't behave the same way with a friend as we would like maybe in a professional environment. Right. So there's an element of masking everywhere. But I think, yes, we can use masking for like the positives as well, actually, sometimes. So maybe we are still masking, but we're using it in a way that is still not going to exhaust us or make us unwell, and we need it to protect ourselves as well for that environment that we're in. So I don't think it's always like necessarily a negative thing.
And would you say that I guess neurodivergent people find it more difficult to mask?
From my own perspective, I would say, again, like dependent on where you are on the spectrum and neurodivergence would be dependent on how you mask and if you can mask or not.
If you can. Because one thing that I always say and think about the guys at the community that I love is that they, you said that you're always a different, most people have a different version of themselves depending on they're talking to a different mask.
Some people, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas what I love about the guys at the community is that it feels like they don't. It feels maybe like they are. Yeah. A lot lot are the same in every environment, which is
they just feel comfortable,
which is beautiful in a way. And I love that they are so unapologetically themselves, no matter who they're talking to.
Yeah.
Whereas I've always felt like I wish I could do that. I wish I could feel safe enough to be unapologetically myself in every situation. Okay.
For me, I'm like, I'm always petrified of people's opinions, what they think of me, how to behave, how to act.
Really?
And that's what's exhausting.
So you've almost so self-aware that you'd question everything that you were doing.
Absolutely everything. I always have.
Wow.
Always like,
because that's almost something that you almost grow out of, isn't it? It's like a teenage trait, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No offense. No. Do you know what I'm saying? When you're a teenager, you're like, oh my God, I just don't want to be weird.
So everybody's always said to me like, oh, that when you get to like your 30s, you'll be fine. Like you won't care about other people's opinions and stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, 32 this year and it's still not happening. So when is that going to happen?
Yeah, I think I was massively like that. I think when I had a very embarrassing dad as well, who nowadays, it's funny, if I was to meet him now, I think it was the coolest thing in the world. But when you're 16, 17 and your dad drops you off at school in a camper van with Radiohead blasting out the windows and he's got a rollie in his mouth. When you're 16, that's unbelievably cringe and embarrassing. But when you get to 25, 26, you're like, oh, that's actually the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I think I got to about 27, 28, and I just stopped caring about what anyone thought. And suddenly you think, oh, being weird is great. So do you think that who cares what everyone else thinks? do you think that will stay with you forever, or do you think there will ever be a point where
No, I
you
don't
won't
think
care?
I'll ever drop out of the like, oh, I'm not bothered what that person's thinking. But
what's that a trait of?
Quite common in like ADHD,
Okay.
so rejection, like sensitivity and stuff. You know,
Okay.
like the perception of maybe like you've been in one situation where somebody's been mean to you or something's happened and you've had like a traumatic experience from it and that stayed with you, and so like every association that might be close to that, you're automatically assuming that the same thing is going to happen.
Wow. Okay.
So it just it's all like learned behaviors in your mind, and because the mind and body are so connected, I also get like the physical symptoms. So it's the everything going against me in a bad way. So I lived a long time in fight or flight. Like I lived my whole life in fight or flight until this year, and my body was like, no, I can't do it anymore. Sorry. And then I was like really ill.
Oh, you were actually ill physically?
Yeah, but
from the brain's thoughts,
mentally and physically. Yeah, it has a real impact. They don't teach enough in school, or like we don't understand enough about how everything works together in our bodies, that actually like a lot of like things mentally can impact you physically as well. And it's like, where do we find that information out? Because unless we go and study to be a doctor or study to be a specialist, we have to go and seek that information out ourselves. And if we're already somebody that struggles to understand things or knows where to go, if we don't give spaces where they can find out that information, then how do they ever seek that? How do they ever find that? And they keep going around in the same cycle.
So how did you overcome that? Or how have you?
No, like no, I'm a crippling mess. No, so I have meltdowns. I have real challenges. I am very afraid of parking. Doesn't help I've now moved to in central Northampton, and there's never any parking. I'm like, where am I going to park? And that becomes such like a huge anxiety for me, like massive anxiety. I have meltdowns. I have challenges.
Do you have the
with
cameras
a lot of
on
things.
your car?
No, it's like a 2005 Honda Jazz.
Okay, yeah, 2005. Wow.
And it's automatic as well.
Oh my God, mine's 2011. I thought that was really old.
You're like, oh my God, that's ancient.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, like, so.
That's good that it's still going though. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I bet the MOT's a scary one every time.
Yeah. Last time the guy was like, your suspension was about to snap.
Yeah.
Did you not hear it? And I said, well, yeah, but
it's all right. It's still going.
I don't know. Like, I don't know anything about cars.
When it breaks, just fix it. You know what I mean? Like, and then it'll go.
We'll just let it keep going until it doesn't want to go anymore. You know, it's just the way. I'm just a girl. But yeah, so my challenges will always be with me, but I can absolutely work with tools to support myself. It doesn't mean that I won't still have like situations and times where I find things really difficult, but I've learned that you can coexist in the challenges and the growth at the same time. And I never thought that was a thing before. I always thought, when something goes wrong, it's the absolute end of the world.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
And now I've learned that, or I'm trying to learn that, even when something feels catastrophically bad, it's a bit easier to pull myself out of it now and see things perhaps a lot more holistically.
Okay.
And that's only from meeting the lady that I work with. She literally changed my world, and it's been so. And this is what I mean. Like, unless you get the support you need, unless neurodivergent people that are severely challenged get the real support they need, how can they ever become like
the best version of themselves?
Exactly. And
it's essentially not about changing or curing anything. It's about giving them the skills to manage it and sort of come out the other side of it whenever you have like an episode.
I think like, so I do workshops literally, and the focus is understanding yourself.
Okay, yeah.
Because like a diagnosis and medication can help some people in some circumstances, but they're not going to change your whole world and change everything overnight. Actually, like, the thing that changed everything for me was starting to understand how I work, how my brain works. And I think if we give people the opportunity to start understanding themselves, it literally flicks on like so many light bulbs, and it makes a massive difference to people. And I think that's really important.
Yeah, and knowing what situations are going to make things better or worse,
Yeah,
and knowing to avoid them.
exactly. So like work environments, looking at spaces that are going to support you
Yeah.
and help you through challenges, and make sure that they can adapt to allow you to be able to work there as well, and not putting yourself in spaces that simply just aren't going to help you. I've always been very black and white, and very justice sensitive, which is really common in autism. And very, if you teach me something, if a policy is one way, well, that's what I'm going to follow, that's how it's going to be. And have had very strong debate, we'll call them debates, with people, and that's always been a challenge of me, because it's like, well, you've taught me something, this is the way it is, but a lot of businesses want to work in the grey, they want to change things, and I'm not good with change in those kind of situations.
What about if the change is making it better?
Yes, but I have to have the full understanding of why. And a lot of times people don't take the time to talk through that or explain why something might be different.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I guess a lot of the time people aren't going to cater to you for that.
No.
And therefore, and in a way, you want to agree, but you just can't just agree.
Yeah,
you need a reason that you actually genuinely agree with.
It can take me a long time to understand something, and this isn't because I'm like dissing myself, because I'm really starting to try and use more positive language to talk about myself, which you should use too. Positive language to talk about yourself. Reframe like any negative language you tell yourself, because it takes me a long time to understand what somebody's saying. So
because I guess that when that first initial thing is set in your brain, it's so concrete. It's hard because it's the rule. The first rule is always the strongest in your brain.
No. So for example, when you're in HR, if you have policies, you have law-abiding policies, right? Like if you don't do this, sometimes the consequences can be that you get a huge fine, or you go to prison even, right? Fear is the biggest factor in my life. Fear stops me from doing anything.
Interesting. Okay.
So where you're ADHD, I'm ADHD autism, but my ADHD presents very differently to yours. So my risk taking is there, and yes, I have probably done some stupid shit in my life, but the fear consequences are so strong, and that's where like environments and upbringings and stuff can have an impact on how you present, how it impacts you uniquely. That I just don't like. It made it a challenge to steer away from that.
Sometimes I almost think that like the fear can be a really good defense mechanism, though, because it essentially warns you and keeps you safe, right?
Yeah, but I think we all need an element of fear in things, but sometimes you can have it so much that it becomes like a detriment. Yeah,
and it debilitates you from pushing out of your comfort zone and trying new things. No, I understand that. And I think maybe I've had that quite a lot, or never really liked change. But that's part of life, though, isn't it? It's about discovering things. Maybe my job's also been really good at that, of throwing me into ridiculously intensely scary situations.
Yeah. So you had to just like figure it out in the moment when you were in it.
Yes. And I think maybe people would assume that when I say that, I mean going out in front of thousands of people and playing and singing, but I actually more mean having to go to a Brits after party and talk to famous weird people. That's more like, I'm going to hate this. I'm not going to like these people. And then actually you're pleasantly surprised sometimes. But either way, actually, no, a lot of the time I've done this kind of events and swanky things, I've had a horrible time and I've hated it.
Oh, no.
But it isn't about enjoying it. It's about pushing through and doing it.
Yeah.
Because then when I leave and I go, that was rubbish.
But I
feel good about doing it.
You do? Okay, well, that's good. I was going to say, is it not really exhausting then if you like didn't enjoy it, it wasn't good?
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like, well, what was the purpose of that?
Well, I think the purpose of it was doing something that puts you out of your comfort zone. And that is always healthy. You don't have to enjoy it for it to learn something from it. And I would always call my manager afterwards and be like, she'd be like, how'd you get on? And I'd be like, it's horrible. I hated every second of it. but I'm glad I went. And sometimes you have to do that. And in work environments, any work environment, there are going to be socials and situations where you just have to do it. I mean, it's even more nerve-wracking now that I don't drink. So, you know, you've also got that element of, oh God, is it going to be, you know, I went to one of my publishing events a week or so ago. And the one I went last time to, you know, got pretty hammered and ended up, you know, having to get the last train home, and I didn't manage to get time to go to the Burger King in Euston, so I was starving and my phone
hate
died.
being starving when I'm drunk.
Yes.
There's nothing worse. It makes me so angry.
On the train, it's packed as well. It's boiling. My phone dies because it's so late and I didn't think I was going to be out that long. I'm sort of like stuck to this woman's back, you know, for like standing up the whole way home, you know, just the worst. This poor little girl was sitting on the floor and I was like literally dripping sweat onto her because I just ran for the train as well because I didn't think I was going to make it. And all of a sudden I realised I could make it. You know when the tube stops at Euston and you're like, wait a minute, I've got 7 minutes till the train goes. I can make this if I just leg it. And there's so many, you know, the whole, you know, all everything. Round, just made it onto the train, so my heart is racing. And yeah, it was just a horrible experience, and got back at like 1 a.m, and it's just the worst. And then, you know, fast forward to me going to the same event in the same venue with the same people, you know, a couple of weeks ago, and I had a good time. I chatted to some good people, to some good networking event moments. Got the 9:30 train, you know, strolled up to it because I'd already planned on my phone when it was coming, got my Burger King ready. It was obviously it was early, so everyone's still out, so the train was empty, so I had a nice seat. I put on a little sobriety podcast on the chair, and I just had a really nice leisurely trip back, and it was like parallel universe, you know, you put them next to each other and you're just like, wow, like the difference that had on everything. I don't even know how we got onto this, but yeah, it was an amazing feeling to be able to just sort of, and I didn't miss out on anything that I gained from the time before. Right. This is the thing, you assume that you're going to kind of, oh yeah, this is the thing, social situation. You assume that you're going to make the best deals when you stay longer and when you get drunk, but actually you're not really, you know, giving a great impression, and you're definitely not the best version of yourself. You're not present, and you think that you're having these incredible connections with people, but I think it's a lot more impactful to people if you have your shit together and you have a good conversation and then you head before everything gets weird.
I'm really inspired by all your growth. You've obviously like worked really hard to recognize and make these changes for the better for yourself.
Yes, I guess you get to a point, don't you, where you get really sick of not doing what you set out to do, and you get just bored of failing. And to be honest, I've been here before. You know, this is probably my 2000th time of trying to get sober and clean, but and who knows if it'll be the last. It probably won't. I mean, law of averages, I probably will end up falling back off the wagon, but
what if you talk about yourself more positively, right? Use that like manifestation.
Totally.
Manifest that it is the last time.
That it is the last time. Yeah. And I guess as well, what I'm starting to learn is it's about the want, you know, and it's about trying.
Yeah.
And also not, you know, not beating yourself up too much when you do slip up. It's about kind of going, well, you should be doing this because you want to, not because you have to. You know, that's the key to it. You should be doing it because you know that, you know, the things you want are bigger there. I guess, don't get me wrong, there's loads of musicians that have won Grammys and they're absolute records. But if I need to think in my head that if I want to be, it's not just about awards or anything, it's if you want to be able to sing the best you can possibly sing and give people the best show and be the best friend or be the best boyfriend or the best son or whatever, then, you know, you need to act in a way that you can be. And I think with anything like alcohol and drugs, it just numbs that side of you. and slows you down. And I guess the byproduct of being the best version of yourself is potentially, you know, number ones and Grammys and generally you know, more money and a better quality of life, and richer relationships. That's another thing. It's nice to be able to actually be really present when you're hanging out with a friend and remember the conversation. And I guess as well, you know, I'm quite an extrovert and I'm quite sociable anyway. And if anything, when I mean, I guess this is a trait for people with ADHD, but when I'm, you know, drinking or doing coke, that was mainly my problem was coke. It calmed me down. Yeah. So, you know, it really chilled me out. And so I almost kind of liked it because it would slow me down, which is weird because normally coke is an upper. And weirdly, alcohol's a depressant, but that actually sped me up.
It probably made you feel more on the normal plane.
Yes.
Yeah. Does caffeine make you tired?
Caffeine doesn't do a lot, actually, for me anymore. But I do like a coffee. I don't know whether I like it because of the caffeine or whether I just like having something. Right. You know, something. I need something. God.
It's quite common for caffeine to have the opposite effect on ADHD people as well.
Interesting.
Don't ask me why. I don't know the science behind it. I can't remember. But let's talk about our myth then, because you said before that you see neurodivergence as a superpower.
Well, I guess it depends on the spectrum that you're in. But I definitely think that a lot of the issues I have, you know, with my ADHD and Tourette, I have used some of those traits to push me into being overly productive. And because I naturally am so scatty, and always have been when I was a kid, the ADHD has forced me to have structure and stick to it. And therefore, my life is ridiculously structured, which in turn, and not just my life, my house, everything is in exactly the right place. And weirdly, that does actually, I think that has actually made me happier. Yeah. Even though it didn't come naturally to me. It's almost like the defense mechanism of having these neurodivergence has indirectly made my life better. So I've had to overcompensate. You know?
You've had to work harder though, right?
Yes.
You've had to work a lot harder, and you've recognized that having, again, these structures and, like, maybe we'll call it decluttering, has had a benefit to you because it means perhaps your mind isn't so overwhelmed and everything isn't everywhere. And I can completely relate to that. I'm exactly the same. But in terms of, like, you having to work harder, doesn't that not, how does that make it a superpower?
Well, yes, you do have to work harder. You do. But I don't necessarily think that having to work harder has to be a negative. If anything, it can push you into situations that I never would have been in before. If I didn't have to work as hard, I wouldn't be this organized. I definitely don't think I would be.
But some people can just be that organized without having to push themselves to that limit.
Yeah, true. I quite enjoy working hard. I quite enjoy the effort of it because it kind of feels like it's a game. And I almost feel like everything in my life now is like a puzzle. And
that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Yeah. And that to me is fun.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's good. And that's really good that you see it in like a positive light like that.
Well, I have no choice.
Right. Yeah. It makes sense. For me, I don't agree with it or sit on the same level when people call it a superpower, because I think actually it takes it away from, like, if I don't get me wrong, I love how passionate I am and how creative I am, but I would in an instant take away the challenges that I have with my ADHD and autism. Like, it really, really impacts me, and people don't know the way that it impacts me because not just like your normal everyday person sees it. And for me, it's almost harder because I can't advocate and explain it to people at the right times. And so it's just this perception of, oh, you look fine, so, you know, you're fine, right? So like, for me, it never feels like a superpower. It feels like this frustrating disability that is going to be with me forever, that I do have to work 1,000 times harder, and I can't just fit into normal social environments, feel incredibly awkward without the alcohol,
Right.
which
Yeah.
makes me feel like, oh, okay, great, I can be, like normal, but I just feel incredibly like, what if I say this? What if I say that? What are they going to think? Like 10
Is
days
there not
later.
another way? Is there a different way of looking at it that you were saying with the positive mindset?
So
is there something you can use on that to make that better?
So positively reframing. I always used a lot of negative language on myself, and now I definitely use a lot more positive and a lot more just like manifesting the idea that I can do something, because when we're forever telling ourselves we can't do something, then obviously we're not going to be able to do it, because we've created this narrative. You
condition yourself into it. Yeah. And then you almost end up, leaning into the thing that you've,
Right. So now I try and be a lot more positive, and, things do go in the right way, but I do still have massive setbacks, and the setbacks can really impact me, and I have to then try and get back to the point that I was at. I'm in a better place so I can get there, but it's still really hard in those situations, and I have to live knowing that I'm always going to be like that. I personally can't work in normal work environments again, because I know how poorly it makes me.
Yeah.
Right. So I am able to take myself out of that and say, okay, well, actually, I'm going to work in an environment and create the environment that's going to work for me.
I guess I've sort of done that in a way. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. You're super creative, and you've gone, you know what, I can do this instead, and this is what works for me. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I guess I don't know if I can't, because I never have had to. But I can imagine I probably couldn't work for someone else.
I mean, it depends. There's a lot of workspaces that really try to.
Yeah, it depends on the person, doesn't it?
Yeah, try to like adapt. But I don't feel like a lot of places are there. I feel like people are really still very behind in the support that they could be giving people, and like support by universal design, support that's going to help everyone, not just like one person. I
massively feel that, especially with Tourette's. I think that's probably the one that's at the back of the race, really, when it comes to this stuff. And I found that extremely debilitating. When I was a kid, it was like, just couldn't sleep, couldn't really talk to anyone about it, because it felt like I was the only person in the world that had it, or even knew what it was. When I got diagnosed, they said the word Tourette's, and it was an alien word.
Right.
My parents had no idea what the hell was going on. It absolutely wasn't taught to the teachers, or you were just a weird kid.
Right.
Really, it was that 90s with Tourette's. It's like, God help you, really.
Yeah, I can completely imagine how isolating that must have felt as well.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. It is embarrassing, and I've met a lot of people with Tourette's since doing a lot of things with Tourette's Action, and you can see in their eyes how stressed and how exhausted they are from having it, especially the girls, especially the younger girls. You can see that they really struggle. And it's weird, because it's like just not really, it doesn't really get much press. It doesn't really get talked about. If anything, it's kind of seen as like the funny one, because it's, you're saying these crazy things in crazy situations, but actually 80% of people with Tourette's don't have words.
No.
It's actually really rare that you'd have the swear words. Most people, it's just tics and movements, and I got taught to kind of, I'm literally doing it now, but whenever I talk about it, it's going mad. But whenever I thought about doing a sort of an obvious tic, you'd change it into a less obvious one. So I'd do that with my hands or my toes or my wrists or my neck or whatever it is. And so that helps, because really
redirecting it.
Yeah. Tourette's it's not so much like the problem that we have, it's more everybody else's reaction to it. That's what makes it an issue, and everyone thinking that you're weird, essentially, which is so odd, really. I mean, even like my first 3 or 4 relationships, I was terrified of even telling them I had Tourette's, or I couldn't exactly hide it.
Yeah.
But it was a really, really embarrassing. I remember my first girlfriend. It was mortifyingly embarrassing, and strangely, she was like, "Oh, I love it. I think it's really cute.
I was going to say, what was their reaction?
Yeah, she loved it. She thought it was the cutest, coolest thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what the hell, really? That's like my deepest secret, biggest insecurity. And she thought it was awesome. Because it's honest and real and and also you can't help it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that, with ADHD, it's harder to get to that place of accepting that, oh, actually, maybe this, because as soon as she said that, God, it really took the cloud away from my stigma on it. And as soon as that went, it calmed down, and I stopped worrying about what people thought and thought, actually, maybe this ties in with the whole superpower thing of like,
right.
I actually saw it as like, oh, this is like a quirky, cool thing that makes me me, and therefore it calmed down. And now, one of my best mates, James, we always make this joke because he's been my best mate for like 15 years and he still thinks I'm making it up. And I'm like, and then he gets up and they're like, dude, I spotted it the first second I met him. The first date, met him. Whereas James like, no, I still don't know what he's all about. You don't even know me, man. But yeah, so that calmed it down because I stopped worrying about what other people thought. Do you think that happens with other things like ADHD, autism, things like that?
I wish that the understanding and the stigma behind neurodivergence as a whole would be more, that people did understand it, but because people aren't educated, again with Tourette's, like it's a physical manifestation. The tics are physical manifestations. You can see them.
Yeah.
So in sense, I don't know if you class it as disability, but like in sense, if somebody did, it would be a physical disability. Whereas some ADHD and autism, wherever you sit on the spectrum, is so internal. Like mine is so internal that the mental impact it has on me is huge.
Yeah.
But that's not present on me.
So if people can't see it, they can't understand it as well as,
because we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
And we'll perfectly accept a physical disability because we can see it.
Yeah.
But something that we can't necessarily see ourselves, then we're like, oh well.
It's harder to have empathy for it.
Right. And people assume that everybody thinks and feel well. Some people might assume that everybody thinks and feels the same, which obviously we know they don't. So it makes it a real challenge.
That's interesting. So it's a lot easier for someone to understand that, oh, you do that tick and I don't.
Right.
Yeah. So therefore we are different, and I like that, and I find that cute. Whereas essentially, if you say you have ADHD because you can't see it, you're kind of almost, it's not that kind of, oh, you're making it up, but it's more like, because it's not obvious. Is it real?
Well, it almost is that, a lot of people that are like, oh, here we go again. Or,
yeah.
I get it to a degree because it is frustrating if the impact, the traits of neurodivergence are things that every single person experiences in everyday life. It's not specific to neurodivergence.
Yeah,
right?
This is the thing. So at what point does it become, okay, this isn't a personality trait, this is a problem, this is further than that?
Again, I couldn't give you like a clinical basis for it,
right.
But something that has impacted you throughout your whole life and has such a detrimental impact in like your day-to-day, like it physically, mentally stops you from being able to complete normal daily life tasks, like work in a normal environment, like being able to cook for yourself or to make sure you're looking after your well-being and everything. And these are things that, like, for example, I'm impacted by, but they're not like, you can't necessarily see it.
Yeah. Do you reckon that was there like a point when you were like, oh, this isn't a personality trait, this is like an actual, like almost neurodivergent problem,
So
at what point did you go,
oh wow, yeah, no, so, and they say a lot of people get that as soon as you start to, this is the other problem, as soon as you start to read something and you connect with it and you feel validated by it, that's why a lot of people start assuming that they have something even if they don't.
Interesting, what you can almost turn a mountain,
molehill
into a mountain,
exactly,
or something. Is that
exactly.
the
Yeah. Well, I grew up literally saying I'm not normal. There's some, like, from the age of 4, I am not normal. There's some like this, I'm normal. I'm different.
Right.
I don't feel normal. And I could never explain how I felt ever to my mom, to anyone. And
not normal in a negative way.
Yeah, like in a negative way.
Right.
Like I just felt different to other people. Like I couldn't make friends, and if I ever did have one friend and they let me down, or then they had another friend, like that was the end of the world. Like that was catastrophic for me.
Whoa.
Like that was like, oh, like everybody hates me, you know, kind of thing. So I was incredibly impacted, and again, like in the work environments and stuff as well, like massive meltdowns, but they would be at home after work, and to the point of feeling so low, so depressed, like so depressed, and like being at like massive breakdowns, like massive meltdowns, like
because it's isolating in a way,
so
isn't it?
isolating
and lonely when you don't feel the same.
And having a meltdown which might present as what other people would see as a tantrum at the age of like in your 20s, in your 30s, other people are like, oh, get a grip. And
even in a way, you're almost like that to yourself as well, aren't you? You're kind of like, why am I not getting a grip?
And especially if you don't have the understanding of what's happening, and other people are telling you it's wrong, your behaviour's wrong, you're acting stupid, you need to grow up, or you need to do this and that, or you're lazy. Then you just have all of this constant like negative feedback towards you, and then you're feeling so shit about yourself because
it makes you even worse, and then you just spiral into a hole.
Exactly. So I again, like I was super challenged, and at like all through school, I think in like 2017 I had CBT, which never helped me.
I've done that.
Yeah, so that didn't support me. It might support other people, but then I was seeing another therapist for something else, and she went, I like a lot of your traits are quite like similar to like ADHD. Have you ever thought about that? And I was like, no, because in my head, like the assumption was that ADHD was hyperactive young boys, right? Because that's how it always been taught. And
like, it didn't have great press, did it?
And back in 2017, that was still a long time ago.
Yeah, and I mean that is a form of ADHD, but that's a lot more intense, isn't it? That's right at the other side of the spectrum. Really,
yeah. So you have three different presentations, and you have like hyperactivity, impulsivity, and then you have like inattentive ADHD, which is the main presentation in females that you see, kind of like that daydreamer. So like the hyperactivity is like more internal, and then you have like combined type as well.
Okay.
So because I've always presented as like the inattentive side, so the hyperactivity is all inside, all in the mind, then that was never picked up.
Okay, right.
And I started to read up on it, and I went on the wait list, and I was supposed to fill out forms to go on the wait list, and I didn't fill them out in time, and then I waited a whole nother year, and then I was like, no, I really do need some help still, so I have to go back to the GP.
It's almost like that in a way it means you probably have it, doesn't it? Yeah, that's like filling the form out itself. Yeah.
This is the thing, and that's why I'm like,
maybe that's a test. If you'd filled it out, you don't have it.
That's why I'm like, so many people that like when they say like it's overdiagnosed, I'm sorry, like who is going to wait 8 years now that it is, or whatever, on a wait list for something to get diagnosed for something that like doesn't impact them or isn't going to change anything in their life, right? It's like I was petrified the whole like the whole waiting time I had. I think it was like 3 or 4 years in the end.
Wow.
I was so petrified that like, what if they said to me, no, you haven't got it, no, you're fine, no, there's nothing wrong with you. I thought, well, like that's it, like my life is over, my life is fully over, I can't do it anymore, because if I don't have this, then what I'm feeling.
So you almost wanted it.
I wanted there to be an answer for
why you were like
how
this.
I felt the way I felt.
Yeah,
sure.
In a way, it did feel nice when I got the Tourette's diagnosis. I mean, I was only like 8 or 9 when I got it, but it felt good to be able to, when someone said, why are you doing that? You could go, oh, it's Tourette's, but then again, even back then, it was still not great because no one really knew what it was. So everyone was like,
even if you said to someone,
and then you'd have to explain, and then that was even more embarrassing. But nowadays, now that there's a bit more awareness over it is great if someone sort of picks up on something, that I can sort of just have this go-to word,
right,
and then they all of a sudden go, oh
right, okay, that's what it is.
Because I think most people just think, well, yeah, but you're not swearing, how could you have Tourette's? Right. But it's kind of like, I think nowadays,
because again, people don't know what they don't know, and people are just making assumptions. So that's why we have to educate them.
Exactly, yeah. And I think it's I think that's made everything a hell of a lot easier for me with the ADHD thing. I mean, like I might, it might still be there. I mean, I got diagnosed with the Tourette's. It kind of comes hand in hand, but at the same time, I never really noticed it was that debilitating at the time. And nowadays, I probably would have it, but I've never really seen the point in getting diagnosed, because if it doesn't affect me, what's the point?
And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And that's what's important for people to know as well. But if it doesn't, there's like, I feel like there's two sides to it. Actually, like a lot of how you feel, think and react on a day-to-day basis could be your ADHD. You just don't realize it. You think it's something else, or you think it's just like whatever, right?
But if it's not a problem, then maybe.
But if it's not a problem, and you don't class it as a disability for yourself, and it's not impacting your ability to cope in day-to-day life, then no, like I don't think that everybody has to seek a diagnosis. Then
again, I do think maybe the addictions I've had with alcohol and drugs and things like that, I definitely think that could have been, firstly, terrible idea if you've got ADHD to be doing that. I mean, one of the main things all these podcasts and books I keep reading is, if you have ADHD, do not drink. It's like the biggest red flag that I'm seeing. And that does make sense to me, because I've had an extremely unhealthy relationship with booze.
That's super common in
right. Yeah. So maybe that's sort of, if I was diagnosed with it, maybe it would help with the sobriety thing. But I'm also kind of just like in this mindset of, it doesn't matter what I have it. So whether I know or not, I'm still me. So I'm just going to tackle the challenges, right?
And that's great. And you've been able to do that.
I'm just being devil's advocate, by the way.
No, but you've been able to do that,
right?
Which is great, which is really positive. And actually, you've been able to put a lot of tools in place for yourself to help you, and you've grown through them. And yes, you've had challenges, but you've found ways to work around them. But not everybody can do that, because
and sometimes I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that is why we do what we do here. That is why for us it's about the whole approach, the whole holistic approach. Whether you're diagnosed or not, you can come and get support, and there is no limitations, and there's no financial barriers. If you can't afford it, well, we're going to cover that for you, because for me, again, I couldn't access support because I couldn't afford it. And I just think I don't want anybody else to go through that.
Yeah.
And the navigation of it was so confusing. So now we have like a whole adult navigation pathway, right? So you literally...
Do you think that's better than medication? Do you think the medication works?
It helps some people for sure. Like I have medication for my ADHD. And it doesn't help all the time.
Right.
But sometimes it does.
I mean, when I was growing up, one of my best friends, Mark, when I was a teenager, 18 to like 25, one of my really close friends, Mark, had ADHD, and it was way before anyone really knew about what it was. And he had these pills, and whenever we couldn't get Coke, we'd always crush these up and go for it.
Oh my God.
And it was weird because it would send everyone crazy, but for me, it would actually really work.
Yeah, chill you out.
I really enjoyed them. But I saw the effects of when he didn't have them.
Right.
And it was wild. It was, it was kind of like a junkie needing his fix, really.
Yeah.
And he was completely all over the shop. So it kind of made me quite nervous of prescription pills. And so that's in a way almost another reason why I haven't ever gone back and got diagnosis, because I don't know whether I'd want to be tempted. I know I would be, knowing me. If the doctor was saying, hey, try these drugs, I 100% would. And then all of a sudden I'd be worried that I would get dependent. Do you feel like you're dependent on the prescription pills, or is it just is it purely just a help?
Dependent only in the sense that when it does help me, it changes everything, and everything becomes like quiet. And I can like do the work. I can suddenly understand and see things. Like it's like really all the time in my brain, everything is floating. Like I have so much information, but I can't pinpoint it. I can't locate it to put together a sentence. Like sometimes I struggle to even speak and to say like what I'm thinking. Like it's all in there, but I can't get it out. And having the medication helps me to be like, okay, well, this is this and this is this, so this is what I need to do. Whereas without it, sometimes I'm like, just don't freaking understand. Like I've just drawn like 20,000 lists.
And is there no way, sometimes I think like, yes, I've had that before. And because I haven't had any medication, it's almost like forced me. Like I get that on stage badly. When I was doing my first 200-300 gigs, I would be so bad at talking on stage. When I was singing, it was fine. But when I was talking, it was like, oh, it was a jumble and it was a mess, and exactly what you were describing. And it forced me to get better because I just had to.
So you worked on it, you put tools in place for yourself to work through it. And
sure. And do you? Sometimes I worry that maybe the medication almost stops people from forcing them into, essentially mastering that skill.
I don't think that we should ever force ourselves into something, because that's perhaps not the best way to like stick at it and improve and grow. But no, because even with the medication, it doesn't change the whole way that I've my whole like learned behaviors. It's not going to change that.
If anything, it's helping you learn.
It's giving me that time to be able to take things on board, so I can actually like put new tools into practice, basically. So I don't think that you should take medication if you don't think that's going to benefit you. That's perfectly fine, and I absolutely think that you can support yourself without it. And I don't want to be on medication forever personally either.
This is the thing, is the goal to take it for long enough that it helps you learn without it?
The goal is to understand myself, keep understanding myself, keep growing through learning about how my brain works, and kind of just putting the tools in place to support me. Healthy diet, because actually the biggest changes to improve your neurodivergent challenges are through healthy diet and gym, like exercise. Absolutely. And amazing, currently I have none of them.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
This is the thing. I've got friends who are on so many different prescription pills, and they've got all these different issues mentally. But they drink, they never go to the gym, and they eat badly. And I'm like, I'm not going to say her name.
You're like, come on.
If she watches this, she knows exactly who I'm talking about. And it's like, try that.
Right.
Try that.
Right. But it's not easy, right? Like those things take a lot, and if we talk a lot about meeting people where they're at. And if you're not in a place to take those things on board, then actually, it's the one step. We say to people, pick one thing that you're going to take and run with and going to make that change, whether it's drinking an extra 2 cups of water a day. Because when you start to put these small structures in place and you start to see the success of them, it's going to help you keep building up to more things you can put in place, more like healthy choices and stuff.
I listened to so many podcasts about this and read so many books. But when you exercise, particularly cardio, it actually rebuilds neurosignals and neurocells in that part of your brain and strengthens it. Another thing that does that is also taking magic mushrooms, right? Ironically, even though it's a drug,
a lot of people microdose. Like lion's mane and stuff like that to support their ADHD.
I mean, even microdosing psilocybin is incredibly good for your brain. I think that out of every drug, that's the one thing that I'm kind of like, wow, that seems to have actually helped so many people, and it seems to be a really positive thing. But I mean, you could just exercise and get the same results.
Give it a try. So do you have any events coming up that you want to tell people about on the podcast? I
do, actually. I've got some Christmas shows at the Picture Dome, which I'm banging on about all the time. The second one's just sold out, actually, now. But I've got the third night has about 80 tickets left.
Oh, that's exciting.
It's going to be great. I mean, I've never done 3 in a row before. Normally I'd do 2. But I just thought,
let's go for it.
Yeah, why not? This is the whole point, isn't it? Just push yourself and try and do things bigger every time. So we've got that. And then I'm on tour with Scouting for Girls in March. And
where will that be?
That's going to be the UK,
right?
And then I'm hoping that we've got a headline tour in May. The album's supposed to come out in May, and then we're going to do a headline tour, which is going to be short. It's only going to be 5 or 6 dates, but that will be in hopefully May. and that's it, really.
That's quite a lot of things you've got coming up though. That's really exciting. Well, I hope it all goes really, really well.
Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. And before we finish the podcast, I have my signature question to ask you.
Oh God, I've forgotten what
Yes,
the question is.
that's okay.
And
A lot of people, I don't even give them any foresight. I don't even tell them I'm going to do it.
Right.
So it's, if your life was a country song, what would the title be?
Oh, that's what it is. Ups and downs.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Because it is, but right now I'm on an up.
Okay, that's good.
And hopefully it will stay that way.
Okay, cool. Maybe you'll actually write a song called Ups and Downs.
Yeah.
I challenge you to do that now.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Have You Mette? New episodes drop every week on YouTube at the ADHD Creative Hub. Like, comment and subscribe. We're based out of the Mensa Wellbeing Group, Northamptonshire Centre for Neurodivergent Wellbeing. Check out our website for our services, upcoming events and space hire.
Have you met her?